and she starts like rubbing circles on my back and like kind of like leaning into my space.
Does stuff like that really happen? That sounds ridiculous.
Who then ran up to my dog and picked a fight.
An aggressive and uncomfortable person. Whenever an older man says anything about my long, beautiful hair.
Like, you have to be grateful and you have to smile and be thankful.
Today's episode is giving fed up. Why don't you tell me what you're about to tell me?
No, I was just trying to tell you that if you don't speak English as your first language when you're learning, it probably sounds like, hey,
What was that sentence?
I don't know. It could have been like, pass the bread or something.
Pass the bread.
Like, if it's not your native language, I wonder what it sounds like to somebody else learning it.
Welcome to At Our Place podcast. Well, we don't say podcast. At Our Place with Megan and Sherell.
Welcome to another episode of
At Our Place
with Megan and Sherell. I'm Sherell.
And I'm Megan. We are so happy you're here. We are married and we play music together and we make podcasts together.
We make a lot of stuff together, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to every person that's been watching our YouTube. We put this podcast on YouTube and we also put it on Spotify, iTunes, etc. And I just want to say we see you and we love seeing that people are enjoying our shenanigans.
We appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe or follow if you haven't, and leave a review, because that also pushes our stuff out to other people who might enjoy it. So
yeah, and don't be selfish like I am and try to keep things to yourself. This podcast needs to see other people. Sorry.
Yeah, it needs to be heard and seen. It needs friends.
I'm serious. I need to practice what I preach. Like, sometimes I listen to podcasts and I'm like, I'm just going to be the person that's like a fly on the wall. Like, I'm not going to rate it. I'm not going to follow it. I don't know. So
don't be shy.
I need to practice what I...
Show your love. Let our little community, our little family grow.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm happy that people listened to your story, and we're going to put out my story. And
by the time you're listening to this, you would have already heard Megan's story. So let us know what you thought of that.
Yeah, it was a heavy one.
Oh, is it time for the drinks?
Oh, yeah, I'm pouring my French press.
All right, it's about that time.
Me French press.
Potty break.
What?
That's what it sounds like to the ones just listening.
That's what we said last time. Yeah, sorry, guys. Sherell's got some tea, and I've got my coffee. How are you doing today, baby?
I think I'm good. I'm rather tired. We stayed up pretty late last night. Friday night date night.
Yeah, last night was weird for me, so I'm sorry. Sometimes I just randomly feel like emotional. Because
you're a human. You randomly feel emotions. Wow. Quick.
But it's
call NPR.
It's truly random. Like, sometimes I just cry out of nowhere, and I'm not a fun time all the time. It's, contrary to popular belief, so.
That's okay. I don't think I had any expectations on you. It's just last night, I think I got stressed out because we have a rather big weekend coming up.
Yeah. Also, for context, Friday night is our date nights.
Yes.
So that's the day that we try to like keep
block
separate.
Off. No one's invited. Nobody can call us or text us and expect an answer.
Friday nights are our date nights, and then Sundays are our rest days.
Yes.
So anyway, I was feeling super weird, and I haven't worked out in a long time, and I feel mentally.
I said, what do you want to do on the date night? And she said, go to the gym. I said, fine.
Yeah. I've been in a kind of like weird phase of like beating myself up for not working out, and then like eating 10 cookies because I want to, and then I feel even worse. So then it all kind of built up to Friday, and I was like, can we go to the gym together?
I think we got into a little of argument about it because I need a little bit more time to adjust to a plan changing, and you gave me like 10 minutes tops to like pivot.
I'm sorry.
Our plans by an hour is fine.
Yeah.
I had a good time once I was there, but it was hard to adjust.
Yeah. But this morning was great.
Yeah, you slept in.
Yeah, we got a lot done. Oh, Sherell made me French toast.
Your favorite.
We've been watching How I Met Your Mother.
Which, can I just say, is kind of problematic a little bit.
It is. But we've been rewatching it. Yes. There's lots of moments where it's like, yeah, this was made in the early 2000s.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, that's funny.
But it's a lot funnier than I remember because I feel like I started watching it like, I don't know, a few years ago. And I was like, But now I'm like cracking up laughing at the stupidest jokes.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings about the show, but I am enjoying watching it with you. So.
How else are you doing?
Good. I'm trying to mentally get ready for our coming weekend and week.
Yeah.
We're going to be with your family for 7 days straight, so.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
We like going to my parents' house. And sometimes I can work remotely, and so we just kind of decided to take a trip.
Yeah, so it'll be good. I enjoy seeing your family. I just also enjoy my alone time.
Yeah,
so.
Plus it's a lot to like pack the dogs and stuff and wash them, and I can't decide if it's easier to wash the dogs in the bathtub or outside. Both of them are very hard.
Well, I would say inside, because outside, as soon as you finish washing little Brat, he runs in the dirt.
Little Brat is Sherell's nickname for our 2-year-old dog.
He's a brat,
Alico.
in case you didn't realize. So whenever we wash him outside, he'll just literally go and roll in the dirt immediately after. So.
Yeah, and for anybody that's listening to this podcast, if you're like, I gotta see these dogs because I haven't seen them. I've only heard your voices. I think you guys are cool, but I only know you sound cool. Anyway, you could go to our YouTube. We have some YouTube shorts and stuff.
Of Lico and all of his bratty glory and
joy. He likes to go dig around underneath the giant rug in our living room, and he just hides under there when we're not paying attention to him. He rolls around in the dirt after we give him a bath.
And Caius, my dog that I had before we were together, he is a perfect angel. I have nothing bad to say about Caius.
I will say...
Perfect. Nope. Whatever you have to say, it's not even true. Caius is perfect.
But it was funny.
No,
it's funny.
Is it?
So like when I give Caius a bath outside, like with the hose, he slowly inches away from me as if like I wouldn't notice that. Like
just moving. It's like maybe she won't notice that I took 2 steps farther away.
It's just funny. He just looks away from me and slowly starts gravitating away from me.
He's not an outright asshole like somebody I know.
Oh, gosh. I love them so much.
So that's our dogs. And our weekend, we have a gig this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
We usually talk about that later, but I'll just tell you right now.
Well, no, because it's going to have happened by this time. This
you missed it. It's still
I feel bad saying that. No, it's not funny. You missed it.
You missed it.
But we talked about it a few podcasts ago, so
maybe you were there and you're awesome.
We don't know anything about you.
That's not true. You're our homie. You're at our place. You're sitting here with us drinking tea, and talking about the gig that you for sure came to. So good for you. If you
did come, like, just in general, if we have any performances or anything, I would love if you person come up to us and say hello, because
yes, don't just sit there creepily watching us. Not introduce yourself.
We would love to meet you.
Come up and say hi. We're pretty friendly.
Well, I mainly said that because so I listened to this podcast, Fortune Feimster, the comedian. I love listening to her podcast. Oh, yeah. She's so funny. She's like Southern accent, lesbian woman. And she was talking to these TikTok stars on her podcast. I forget their name. Dakota and Jackson, I think, and they're a gay couple in the South, and they do these like fun little food review videos. But anyway, one of them was talking about how when they're in public, because they have this like public figure, sometimes people have like taken videos of them, and they can like tell, you know, this person over there is like taking a video of me, and then they would go ahead and tag them. So that's why I said, like, come and say hi to us, because not that
maybe people, when they do that, they're just trying to be polite. Because when I was in China, that happened a lot. I think it was because in the city that I was in, there was like literally 6 black people. So people would just take videos of me because I was an oddity.
Oh.
Like I wasn't in Beijing. I was like in a tiny. Was
it kind of like you were like famous, or like?
I felt famous. I took it as a compliment, but people would come and sit on a bench next to me and like pull out their phones, like recording me. And I was playing at like coffee shops and stuff, so I was doing stuff, and so people knew that I did music, and they also knew that I'm one of the 6 black people in that whole city, so they would just like follow me around and film me.
That's so cool.
Which was a compliment, but it was also really comical. Like it went straight to my head. I was like, man, you know, I'm famous in China. So.
You would. You're that personality. You're like, if people are looking at me, it's because I'm awesome.
People have looked at me my whole life, and you know what? Good for them. I get it. I get the appeal.
Speaking of, what are we talking about today?
Oh, so you had a funny experience.
It was a crazy week.
Was it? Well, yeah. Well, we both had these individual experiences where we realized the world at large feels more entitled to our bodies than we would like.
This is nothing new per se. If you have paid attention to history at all, nothing new. But we wanted to share our funny experiences.
Well, some were funny, some were more interesting than
funny with an underlying hint of misogyny.
I guess mine was a woman, so share my experience.
Sure, yeah. I'm not sure what's on your mind.
Okay, so my experience was I wanted to, you know, those I don't know, I think we got them from my sister when she was moving, but these picture frames, that wooden picture frame that you could get from like TJ Maxx or something. It has like 3 slots.
Yeah.
So we had that sitting like just
this experience.
Yeah. So we had it like sitting gathering dust, and you were like, can we get rid of this? Can we take it to Goodwill? And I was like, no, I have plans for it. So you were out of the house, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna carry out my plans for this thing, because you kept talking about how you wanted our wedding photos somewhere around the house, and we hadn't done that yet. So I decided to surprise you, and I went to, what is that store? Like
a CVS or Walgreens.
Some place that had like the instant photo printing thing, but it was like computers from the 90s.
Yeah, they're never like amazing, but
yeah. Anyway, so I was really glad that they had it. So I'm sitting here printing our wedding photos. So I already noticed there's this woman. She's white, middle-aged, and she's like already taking up a lot of space. Like, she doesn't like that the guy is helping me get the photos, so she already starts like
is she behind you in line? Like, she's being impatient?
She's being impatient. So the photo booth is to the left, and then the cash register thingy is like to the right. So she's like at the cash register thing, but he already started ringing me up. But we had to like run back to the thing to get the receipt and all that stuff. So she goes, and she has like a 24 case of Modelo's, of like beer.
Okay.
And she just starts like ringing herself up, like reaching over the counter, ringing herself up.
This cannot be like policy.
So we're like, he's like my age. We're like looking at her going, what the? So he's like, hey, ma'am, you're actually not first in line, and you actually can't do that. So she's like, oh, my bad. So she stops, and he has to like exit her order of beers off of my order. And then she grabs. So I go over there, And she grabs my arm and she says, "Don't take my beer." And I was like...
She grabs your arm after putting her beers on
my order.
Oh.
She says, "Don't take my beer." So then I said, "You don't have to worry about that." I don't want your crappy beer.
You're not trying to flirt with her or anything.
Like, no, don't worry about that. I'm not going to pay for your beer. So then the guy's like trying to fix, like undo what she did. And then he's just kind of flustered. So he actually overcharges me by like 4 times.
Yeah.
So he's trying to undo that, but he doesn't have like the authority to do, like, give me a cash refund. So he's trying to figure all this out. While he's doing that, I'm just standing there patiently. And she goes, "Oh, look at how those turned out. They look so nice. Wow, look, aren't they nice?" And she starts like rubbing circles on my back and like kind of like leaning into my space. Oh. So I was like, "Yeah." And I like am trying to step back. And now, mind you, there's like probably 10 people in the store, her same age, all white. The only people of color are the cash guy and me.
Oh my gosh.
And we're the same age, and it's just like really awkward because I'm like trying to make it super obvious that I'm uncomfortable, and she's just taking up all of my space. Every time I move away, she like leans into me further, and I'm looking at all these people like, does anybody in this store see that I'm uncomfortable? Does anybody care? Because there's like multiple people in line and they're all watching this and nobody's saying anything. And I got in the car. I made a like live Instagram live about it. I was pissed, but it's the first.
You did?
It's yeah.
I didn't watch it.
You were doing something.
I didn't see it.
But it was the first time in a long time that I've like actually wanted to roundhouse kick somebody in the head, like for real.
And I think you told me, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous that this lady put her hand on your back and she was like inching closer to you as you were walking away. And at first I was like, well, with everybody in the store, I could, as a white person, totally understand being like, well, I don't know if this person of color would want me making a huge scene out of this, like, hey, step away from her, you know, that type of thing. But at the same time, like, it's helpful to hear from you, like, hey, like, it's frustrating when nobody seems to do anything about, like...
Yes, because multiple people saw the whole scenario. They could see I was uncomfortable. They saw me keep moving farther and farther away from her and her moving repetitively into my space. And it was to the point, like if you had been that close to me, people would assume we were a couple. But here's this middle-aged white woman that I clearly didn't know being in my space at that level.
And assuming that you would want that, or she deserves that.
Or that, yeah, like that. I think it wasn't even that I would want it, because I don't think the thought goes in people's minds. They're not thinking, will you like or dislike this? They're thinking, I'm going to do this and it doesn't matter.
This is my space.
This is my space. There's nothing wrong with this. It's the same thing that happens when people reach out and touch black people's hair, you know, or like an older man tells a younger woman to smile or whatever. It's just like, it's just the same thing. It's like, well, I don't care if you're uncomfortable. That actually didn't even cross my mind that I can make you uncomfortable. I just want to do this, and I deserve to.
Yeah. It's disrespectful.
Yeah, it's very humiliating as a black person. It's humiliating to feel somebody else feel entitled to my space and to feel as if they have the right to me and I just have to take it.
Oof. Now, just to play devil's advocate.
Then the podcast is over. There is no devil's advocate.
So, kind of kidding. If somebody came up to you and they were like, they don't have your life experience, obviously, and they said, I mean, how often does stuff like that really happen? That sounds ridiculous. What would you say?
This happens almost every damn time I go outside.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of hate where we live sometimes.
We live in, it's in California, but it feels a little bit small town.
It is a small town in California, and it's a lovely place to live, except for there's a lack of people of color. There's a lack of diversity here. So there's just really rich people who are very entitled. Some of them are really lovely, but all of them have blind spots. So every time I'm going to the grocery store, somebody's feeling like they're entitled to my space. And I used to work private security, so I used to, for years, like carry myself in a way that I seemed like I would probably kick you in the head if you touched me, you know?
Yeah, you would do that kind of shoulders back.
Well, like as a Black woman, we have to walk with power and authority just to kind of move safely through the world anyway. Because we're always, and it's not even that we're trying to, it's that we're on guard most of the time because it's dangerous to be outside. So you're just on guard. So throw in the extra layer of like, I used to have people pull weapons on me. I used to have people attack. I used to have to be on high alert. So I used to like go into the grocery store already like ready to assert authority. So I gave off the air that I didn't want people to touch me anyway.
Yeah.
But people would, you know, people still do that.
Well, sometimes you have your AirPods in. I get frustrated for you about the whole grocery store experiences because sometimes people like, you know, like metaphorically clutch their pearls and walk away from you fast.
Regularly.
And then sometimes people, you have your AirPods in and they come over your shoulder and ask you a question about nothing that matters.
Yeah, and when I don't acknowledge them, they'll like demand my hello.
They act like you're crazy or you're not a real
or that
person.
I'm rude for like listening. And the thing is, I have anxiety at grocery stores, particularly because there have been so many shootings lately in grocery stores. So I get anxiety going into a grocery store where nobody's going to look like me. And I've already had so many micro and macro aggressions. So I purposely put my AirPod in to calm me down. But that's a signal, I guess, to everybody else here.
It's like, oh, you want to be unapproachable? Well, let me just take up my space and make
Tell
you talk
you
to me.
should smile more. Ask you about this one guy asked what our last name was.
Oh.
And like what your name was. And like, he just kept going and it was weird.
The overly friendly but demanding person.
The guy who was like checking out my stuff, he was like, oh, so you from here? Oh, cool. Where do you live? Oh, and then he shouted out my like last name because he had my
Which
ID.
if you were a police officer or something, you would be like, that's a big no-no.
I know. I'm telling you, I was like, great. Now everyone in this 50-foot radius heard you. Nice.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Not to trash on people, but like, I feel like today's episode is giving fed up.
Well, even on that note, do you remember when I called you that one time? Because our neighbor.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Of course I do. This was like, it's scary. So,
Go for it.
So she was walking with our dog down the street, and there's one neighbor that
I was on the phone with a friend.
Okay, so yeah, so she was on the phone with a friend, and there's this one neighbor a couple blocks away, and they have this dog outside. I'm going to talk a little quieter because our window's open, but they're not around. So their dog was on their leash, and this person has like a Trump flag on their house. So
Which we're not going to hate on you for who you vote for, but
paired with these actions, it's not a good look for you. So walks out of his house, unhooks his dog from the leash, and his dog is the type that barks and it sounds aggressive.
Which
and
I
scary.
don't blame the dog, I blame the owner.
Right. So Sherell was walking past with our dog on the phone. He unhooks his dog.
He stares at me, watches me, and then unhooks his dog from the leash.
Yes. And then proceeds to follow Sherell, say, oh, I'm sorry, in a fake way. Kind of.
Because his dog is like an aggressive German Shepherd who then ran up to my dog and picked a fight, and I would have got bit if Caius wasn't like in between us. So I'm just trying to like pull Caius away and like get away from this guy, and then he's following me. Like,
yeah, so the man is following her, asking where she lives.
Yeah.
If she's from around here.
He's like, you live in this house down there, right? Right.
And it's like, excuse me, why would we want you to know where we live now that you prove to be an aggressive and uncomfortable person?
Yeah, so I hung up with my friend and called my wife and like walked down the street to a random place and then asked Megan to pick me up, and so I was like not about to like walk back to our house. So
I'm glad you're sharing these stories, because if I wasn't in such close proximity to you, I wouldn't have knowledge about like the day-to-day life that you have, and how it's just, we should all be a little bit more fed up for you and people like you.
As women, as queer people, and as people of color, like I think we're collectively getting fed up. Now, what's your experience that you're getting fed up with, baby?
This week has been so crazy. Such a crazy little week. So I've been posting a lot on my YouTube shorts. Shout out to everybody that has found this podcast through there. It's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun making more content and stuff like that.
You've been having a lot of fun making the content that you want.
Yeah, and I have most recently become the most awesome version of myself that I can think of. I've always been afraid of what people think of me. I've always been afraid to put myself out there online specifically. And so I am proud of myself for starting to open up in the public sphere. And with that has come some backlash. Not like I'm this huge public figure or anything, but
but with your sphere of influence, you've been getting a lot of pushback.
Honestly, with any sphere of any influence, even if you're just a regular person, which I am, posting something that feels vulnerable or could be offensive to someone, it will get some backlash. Everybody has an opinion these days online, you know?
Right, but I would say this is the first time that you started getting people like
a lot of strangers
alluding to like go kill yourself type of thing.
Yeah, I kind of skimmed past that type of stuff. But so this past week I posted a video that was especially saucy, especially fed up, and it was a video of me with my hair down looking all fine, if I do say so myself. You
looked hot as hell.
Oh, thank you. And
I'm your wife. I feel like I can appropriately say that without being a, weirdo.
A weirdo alert.
Think my wife's hot? Weirdo. Nah.
We already know Sherell's a weirdo, but I love her.
Also, I do want to say, if anyone online comments that you're hot, like, they're not wrong.
Y'all ain't wrong. Oh, well... We'll get to the opposite of that. I'm getting ahead of myself in my head. So I posted this video. I looked great. And the caption was, whenever an older man says anything about my long, beautiful hair, which happens often. And then I put my hand on the camera. I took it away and I had my hair in like a beanie so you couldn't see my hair.
Which you still looked great.
Thank you.
You just look like you put on a different outfit.
I did. And I put on a t-shirt. So it was kind of just being fed up with people that expect me to say thank you to that kind of compliment.
Yeah.
This whole thing came from, so you and I are performers. We sing music in public. And quite a few times, from my experience, people blur the lines of what's okay and what's not okay to say to musicians, especially women, because we're performers. And this is probably common among other people that are in entertainment, because you get so used to talking about people like they're objects and for your own entertainment versus they're a real person. So for me, quite a few times, I've been playing and I'll come off the stage and some older guy, my dad's age or older, will come up to me and he won't say anything about my music. He won't say anything about who I am, try to get to know me as a person. He'll just kind of linger, be like, yeah, that was great. How do you get your hair so long?
As if he's like looking for beauty tips himself.
Yeah, and it's frustrating, and I've seen YouTube videos and stuff of celebrity women that have to answer questions like these from actual interviewers.
Oh, geez.
I watched a whole video where it was like people asking the women, what's your workout routine? And they'll be like, are you looking for tips? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
are you wanting to emulate this, or are you just thinking that I'm an object?
yeah, so this is nothing new, and I totally acknowledge that, and it's just frustrating. And even just in the store, we'll be in the store and some random older guy will be like, your hair's so long, you look like Barbie. Literally one guy said that, and then he said, I have a lot of Barbies. And I was like, do you remember that?
No. That would have really sent a whole lot of flags my way, and I would have said something.
He said something about having Barbies, and I was like, this is proceedingly weird. I think I would accept it better as a compliment if it was coming from someone that was, first of all, maybe my age. Second of all, someone that actually said something that made me feel like they respected me on some level.
Here's a question. So what is it about the age thing that makes you so uncomfortable? Like the gap?
I've seen people in relationships that have age gaps, so I'm not trying to say that there's something wrong with an older man being with a younger woman, stuff like that. But I think where it comes from is the lack of respect as a person, because a lot of people like that tend to see me as a little girl, or tend to see me as just this young woman that's beautiful, and you have no idea about what I like, who I am, what I like to do. You know, it's just looking at me and seeing the hair, or seeing, and people say this to like younger girls too. I don't get comments from guys my age of like, oh, your long, beautiful hair. And I think that says something, because they see me as like, we're the same age. There's something to respect about you because they know things about me. And I feel like there's a vibe too of older men talking to like little girls of, look at your long hair.
Which is just creepy. I don't care who you are. It just sounds creepy.
Yeah, it is
It's
creepy.
like, it's like treating a little girl like she's a little doll, you know, like an object. You know, it's always bothered me that when a baby is born, because I just had a niece born, the first thing people say about her is, she's so beautiful. Look how beautiful she is. She's so, she's so pretty. And I'm like, she's
a blob of a baby.
Blob. She looks like she was just pushed out of a very small opening. She doesn't look beautiful. She looks squished.
She looks like an adorable little baby.
She looks like an adorable little baby. She's cute in like a baby way, but she, like, why do we objectify people like that?
Yeah, and I will say, so going back to this video that I posted as an example, I was feeling super excited about it because honestly, it's how I feel. It's a little bit fed up, and it's mainly me saying, this is how I feel when older men comment on my hair, and then me just saying, look, it's gone and I'm going away. Like, and so a lot of people liked it with a little thumbs up, and that made me feel really good. And then a small amount of people that saw it commented, but it was only negative comments, which is great because it boosted my post a whole lot.
And then you pissed them off because then you said, thanks for watching, smiley face, on all of their comments.
My favorite comment was, damn, shawty, you ain't all that.
That's my new favorite insult. Not all that shoddy.
So we now say that to each other as a joke.
Yeah.
Like if I annoy Sherell and
Not
she's
all
like,
that shoddy.
it was like this person's way of taking back their power or something. I don't know. Like, you're not that good looking anyway. I don't care.
Yeah. I find it fascinating because on the one hand, you know, people say, oh, don't read the comments. It's just social media. But on the other hand, it does affect us. Like, you care about what people think about you. You know, you just said, oh yeah, the likes made me feel good.
That's true. although I will say I've been getting a whole lot tougher of skin because I've learned that posting stuff is just for me and I learn what I like to post. But now that I've had such a large influx of negative comments, honestly, I don't care anymore, which is great. So I just replied to all the negative comments and I said, thanks so much for watching, smiley face. To tie it up with a bow, some of the other comments were just like, a woman's glory is in her hair, and ew. I'm a woman and I have longer hair than you, and why do you have to be rude? Why can't you just accept a compliment? Man, she can't accept a compliment. So yeah, it's kind of a reflection and proof of what is still going on.
I think the problem for me with that whole mindset is that if a guy tells you something about yourself, comments on you physically, there's this expectation that you have to be grateful about it. Like you have to be grateful and you have to smile and be thankful.
And that's what I was like commenting on.
Yeah, like that's just, you don't have to even respond to them. It's just, everybody's like, well, just take the compliment, just take it. Well, what's wrong with you? It's like, you don't have to. You didn't ask for him to comment on you physically. You didn't comment on him physically. Like, what if women just walked through the world just commenting on men on a regular basis to their face, objectifying them?
Yeah, I don't even know if there's an equivalent of that for men where women like kind of expect an answer in a powerful way. Like it doesn't.
We've never had that in our society. I did try to teach one of my officers. I would be finishing up my shift, so then the officer would come on. And he would just tell me repetitively, and multiple people on my team, because I was the only woman, but I was all their leader. So they would tell me to smile. Oh, you need to smile more, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm working private security for a Fortune 500 company. I don't need to smile. That's not an attribute that I need to have.
You're not supposed to look friendly.
I'm not supposed to be, like, they would just continually tell me to smile. Oh, you should smile more. Smiling never hurt, blah, 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 blah. And I wasn't being rude. I was just like existing in the world without smiling. And I pulled him aside and I said, hey, I'm not going to write you up, but I have asked you repetitively to stop telling me that. And he's like, well, what's wrong with a smile? She doesn't hurt anybody. It's good to show you. It's good. I said, well, I wouldn't want you to tell me that. And I wouldn't want you to tell any of your other team members that. And he said, well, I would never tell them that.
Why would I tell the men to smile?
And I was like, exactly.
You made him dumbfounded. You made him really confused there.
It was like he just stayed affronted that I would ever suggest that he would tell his team members to smile.
He's like, well,
exactly.
Duh, there's
maybe don't tell your
standard.
boss who's a woman to smile either.
Oh my gosh.
I could see the wheels turning in his head of like,
something's confusing here.
Guys just don't get it.
Man, they have a lot to learn.
Not all men. Gay men and bi men are fine.
Well, that's why I say yeah. That's why I say mostly a particular type of older man, because I don't know why, but that's just the demographic that a lot of them seem to be right now.
I think baby boomers maybe and the older generations have had like a lot of toxicity and the patriarchy that our generations are calling out. And they're very bothered by it. You know what? This is so random. Sorry, ADHD kicks in.
Go for it.
But I noticed when you and I got together, you would have a lot of these, like your dad's friend type people commenting online about pictures of you.
Yeah, it's always
very weird.
It's always older men. Like, another tangent. There was this man when I was performing music. I've been performing for a long time. I think I was about 19 or 20, a bit younger. I'm 26 now. And there was this guy that was just so kind of fixated on me. He was probably in his 40s and he was just so excited about my music that he drew a picture of me from a photo that I had online.
Ew, what?
It felt really weird.
Ew. I mean,
yeah. And he
fan, but also weird.
Yeah, it was weird. So it's always a weird line with the whole music thing.
Yeah, but I feel like it happens even when you're not a performer. I think if you're a person, if you're a woman existing in the world, I can't speak for the whole world, but for Europe and America, I've seen this happen a lot.
To your point of like stuff online, I will say, if you're listening to this and you're an older man or a person in general, it feels weird.
If you're a person in general?
Well, I never like to be exclusionary.
If you are, that's the most generic thing I've ever heard you say. If you're listening to this and you're a person in general.
Not just a person, but
in general, I'm talking to you.
Sorry, I do that a lot where I say something specific and then I follow it up with, or just anyone or anything in the world.
Oh my gosh, babe. Just say what you were trying to say. What were you trying to say?
Okay. So if a woman posts a photo of herself, especially if she's younger than you, and you want to comment on it, you want to say, this is my favorite photo of you. I really like how you look in this photo. It doesn't feel good, especially if you don't like have a history of saying things about the person's personality. If you don't show any other signs of respect, like we have friends that are older, that are our friends' parents, and there's guys that are like really respect us and love us and treat us like family, and they don't say anything about our appearance. But if they did, I would be like, okay, you know, that makes sense.
I can't think of a single person,
for example,
I wouldn't be weirded out if they singled out a picture of you looking fine as hell online and said, wow, damn, you looking fine. I'd be like, that is my wife.
I'm saying if we
like,
got
that is your daughter's friend, you weirdo.
If we got a haircut or something and an actual friend of ours that has a record of being friends with us that we enjoy, and they said, your hair looks great, that would be an appropriate response to a picture of cutting our hair or something like that. But if it's just a random picture from a random day and you're saying, you're looking beautiful, this is my favorite picture of you, it feels weird. It just feels weird because you don't have that respect. Like, you're not saying, oh, also it's really great what you're doing with your podcast, also it's really great what you're doing with your career, your
music, and
you're
your
so
jobs
smart,
and your degrees and all the things that you're doing in the world.
And not, how's life, really missed that time we hung out that one time. No, just, you look great, with no other backstory.
Yeah, I don't know how we fix that as a society. I also wanted to point out, and this might be a tangent that maybe this is a different episode, but me as a butch queer woman, that doesn't happen to me. Like, people aren't, or at least it doesn't bother me in the same way. Like, I posted a picture of my haircut a couple weeks ago, and people were like, fire, oh, you look so good. Megan did a great job cutting your hair, blah, 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 blah. And it didn't, like, bother me that people were commenting on it because I look good in the picture.
You look good.
We're told.
And can I say, your short hairstyle and your attitude is powerful, like, as a woman.
Okay.
And people aren't idealizing your hair or like in a weird way, in the same way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but if somebody were like, damn, I'd smack that or something like that, it'd be like, okay, that's fucking weird. Like, I think maybe like sexualizing or like objectifying in like a weird, I've got power over you type of way is just a no.
So can I just say, if somebody says, hey, you have beautiful long hair, or even to you, like, wow, look at that beautiful, I don't know, I'll just say from my own experience.
got nothing beautiful.
No, I was gonna say when people talk about like your skin
my
color
muscles,
stuff,
my ass, my skin color, my eyes, my smile, lots of things.
that's a whole different thing than what I was trying to say.
Yes.
So I went back.
Got it.
When people say, "Oh, your long, beautiful hair," they're saying, "I prefer that to shorter hair." That's like what they're saying, right? I prefer you to have long hair, and if you cut your hair short, I won't like it as much because you won't look as pretty or
which feels ick. That feels ick because it's like, why does their preference have to be a factor at all?
Oh, and to keep going on my rant, this is just a whole rant. On that video that I posted, somebody said, well, if you really didn't care, then why don't you just cut your hair short? And that's not the point.
Because you like your hair long.
I like it the way it is right now. And also, if I cut my hair short, they would still be commenting, oh, that's pretty short. Well, why did you do that? Why'd you cut your hair short? It's not like there will always be a comment and an opinion. And I just want respect. That's it.
Yeah, you don't want people's opinions to navigate what you do or don't do with your own body and how you move in the world. I think people, they need to pull themselves out of your lives and out of your space. Like the woman who was in my space rubbing my back and the people who comment on you and your hair, like they need to pull themselves out of our life, out of our sphere, take themselves out of our situation because they're, you know, it's not their space. Their feelings and their preference doesn't have a factor and play a role in your life.
Yeah.
You know, and their physical body is not entitled to my physical space. But people forget that. They move through the world thinking that, oh, well, I'm entitled and what I think and what I say matters and I don't really care about you.
I prefer my women to, and also like the spaces that I grew up in, high school, etc. It was so normalized for guys to just say things like, I don't like when girls wear these types of shorts. I don't like when girls put their hair up, or I like when girls put their hair up. Like people would tell me specifically and the girls around me that were my friends, I don't like when you do this with your hair or your body or the opposite way. And is so troubling, and it's just disrespectful.
Maybe we just say so. Like, who cares what you think about my body? Who cares? I don't.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, when people say, oh, well, then how do we even compliment you? Here's how you compliment women. It's sad that people have to ask. It's sad. Here's how you compliment women. You have a foundation of being interested in who they are as a person. And then anything you say after that, when you respect them as a person, feels more genuine. That's what I say.
Even when there's like a level of attraction between two people, you don't just walk up to somebody and say, damn, you're so hot. You don't do that.
Yeah.
You go when you get to know them as a person. You say something about them that is not just physical.
Okay, so here's a scenario. If there's two hot single young people, because we know there's a lot of hot single people.
We know you guys are hotties. We know.
Yeah.
We know.
So we're not being
out in the wild.
We see you out in the wild.
Just because we're locked in doesn't mean we don't notice. Doesn't mean we don't see you.
Well, and I'll say for me, I would love a good compliment here and there of like, oh, you know, you say so and so over there is checking you out, or I say, oh, all the ladies were interested in you. So
yeah, it boosts our egos a little.
Yeah, so maybe there's a time and place for you feel like things are flirty and someone says, oh my gosh, like you look so great in these ways or whatever. I think there just needs to be a little bit of a foundation of, you know, if you're two single people, maybe you're kind of flirting back and forth, and then at some point, like, I just gotta say, I love the way that you did your hair, or I love whatever.
Respectfully, you're hot.
Respectfully, you're a 10. Yeah. So I feel like there are scenarios, but it's not in the way of like, I like this part about you and I kind of prefer it that way.
Yeah, that just feels so domineering.
Or I like when a girl does this and that girl's doing that, it's supposed to be a compliment.
Yeah. And I feel like we have to break it down But we all know it's because of the patriarchy. We all know that. We know that it's because our nation was set up in a way where men got to and get to be in charge and get to have their opinions matter over the women in their life, their wives and their daughters and women that they're not related to. Like, they got their opinions mattered and had sway, and it was like our job as women, particularly as Black women, to appease them, to be appealing to them. That was our role. Be appealing so that we can be spouses or slaves or mistresses or whatever.
And it was your survival to say thank you or be glad that somebody wanted you.
Be glad because, if we can't get a husband, if we can't get a good master, if we can't whatever, then we will die.
That's probably where it comes from.
That's for sure 110% where it comes from. It's the patriarchy. So we in America were dismantling that. And so now in 2023, men are getting offended because centuries of misbehavior is getting uprooted. And, they don't get it yet.
That's a lot.
It's the patriarchy, people. It's the patriarchy.
You're like,
flip the table.
Like, you're dropping things. Man. You broke your fidget spinner?
It was the patriarchy.
I love that you have that, by the way. Sherell has her little fidget spinners and things.
I need it to sit still during podcasts.
Oh man, I feel like we went through a lot and there's so much more. There's always more to say.
Well, I'm curious. So you guys listening, whoever you are, I want to know what your stories are. So you can email us. What's our email?
Oh, at our place. Shoot, what is it?
At our place podcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, it's in the notes. Yeah, we will. I mean, we're in our growing phase, so we are checking our emails. We are checking everything. So
I want to know if you have had this experience along with us, where people feel free to be on your space, comment on your well-being, like just comment on you as a person,
or if somebody said a compliment in a way that like felt good.
Yeah.
Maybe? What are people doing right? I don't know.
What are people doing right? What are people doing wrong? What do you suggest to help people be better? I'm curious if we're the only two experiencing this, or if there are other people like us.
Yeah, I know there's a lot out there. So I want to know more. Eventually, I would love to share. If you have a story that you want to share on the air, we would love to read it out loud. So just let us know.
I just thought of something so funny that you could say, because we're about to go hang out with your family for a week. So I played out this scenario. This is the ADHD brain. I played out this scenario in my head of like you meeting one of your parents' friends, like they have a small group or something at the house. And I played out this scenario where like they're like, "Oh, Megan, you're looking so pretty these days," and they put their hand on your shoulder. I pictured you in my head just like stepping back, looking at them and saying, "Thanks, I'm really smart." Then just letting it linger. It's like,
oh my gosh.
Like,
I don't
I'm really talented. I'm super successful in my job.
Oh my gosh. I will say most of the experiences are not that straightforward. They're a little bit more subtle than
I know, but I'm just saying, what if we just made people feel super awkward? Just like,
I did that one time.
I'm really strong. I could kick your ass.
So when we were doing 75 hard and all of that stuff, I was drinking a gallon of water every day.
That's a lot of water. I remember those days.
Yeah.
I probably peed like 12 times a day. Just letting the people know.
They gotta know. So we were at a performance and some guy said, "How do you get your hair like that? It's so long." And I said, "I drink a gallon of water every day." And he looked so dumb. Like, but honestly, what am I supposed to respond to that? Like, hey, Oh my gosh, thank you.
Oh wow, you noticed? I've been growing it this long specifically so that you'd notice.
I'm so shy.
Kind sir.
I'm so shy.
Oh.
Thank you for this compliment.
You know how they always cry in the Disney princess movies?
Oh, like the
they're
old
sad.
school. I don't know.
That's what they sound like. Go back and listen to like
What movie are you-
like what's the one with Aurora, Sleeping Beauty? Like that one.
Oh, when they're
Or
like weak
Snow
at the
White.
knees
They're
or
just like,
something.
that's what they sound like.
Oh my gosh.
No lies were told here. Anyway, I think the theme for this is we are fed up, and I'm curious to know if you are fed up too and what you're fed up about.
Yeah. Or if you're like, hey, I want to share my experience. And I also want to acknowledge the many, many, many women who have paved the way for us to even be able to say all of these things. We've gone really far in society, but not far enough.
Nope. We're not free until everybody is free. That's true.
Amen.
On that note,
Thank you for listening. Go ahead and give us a 5-star review if you like us, and you better come back next episode.
yeah, and if you're new here, welcome.
Mhm.
Welcome to the family. Babe, what do we got going this week?
I don't think we have any more performances in September.
Nice. I think
we're-
we're resting. We have a gig. We just didn't put it on the calendar.
We do.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about it later. Okay. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you next time in our place.
Bye, guys.